Hello, we are here at the conference Teaching Languages and Cultures, and we are having guests from the United States who are actually not so much of guests here. We can also say they are partly hosts because they have spent a year at the English department studying and teaching with the staff of the department and students of the department. Here with us is Abijah Ahern, who will first tell us something about his background, where he comes from, and how come he came to Niš. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so great to be back. I can't tell you how happy I am to be back. I am from Laramie, Wyoming, originally in the United States. It's sort of a small mountain town in the Rocky Mountains. So very far from Serbia, but I don't know. I grew up, part of the reason I ended up coming to Serbia is my father is an anthropologist. He works primarily on Neanderthal sites in Western Croatia. And so when I was young, every few years when I was little, I would have the experience of being able to go to the Balkans, primarily Croatia, but also Bosnia and Serbia as well. As I grew up, I really started to develop an interest both academically and personally in the region, and I had not spent as much time in Serbia, and so when I applied, Serbia was obviously my first choice, and I did not choose the city of Niš, but I'm incredibly lucky that Niš chose me in the end. I think I would not rather have been placed anywhere else,
Okay, so obviously you like Niš. Why do you like Niš?
I don't know. So many reasons. Obviously the food is great. The people are incredibly kind. But I don't, and a big reason is obviously this faculty itself. I feel incredibly lucky to be able to work with you and Tatiana as well as everyone else in the department. I think that the work that you guys do is phenomenal, and the students are phenomenal as well here. I don't know, I mean, I really like Niš in some ways because it reminds me a little bit of home. It's obviously much bigger, but this, I think some people kind of think of it as provincial, but I definitely don't think of it that way. And it's nice to, not be around the pretentious Belgraders. I like it a little bit more down here in the south. But no, I mean, I find it a great city. I find it super interesting culturally, architecturally, historically, and on a personal level. But certainly the faculty itself is a big part of the reason why I think I was very lucky to be here.
During the academic 2022-23, you had classes and helped the staff of the English department here. You met our students. What can you tell us? What differences and similarities have you noticed in teaching here in Serbia, the English department, and in the States at university? And have any of your ideas you had before coming here changed after you stay here?
That's a great question. Honestly, I think there was less. Obviously, there are differences, but really, what surprised me to an extent was how similar, how much my students here reminded me of people I knew back home and things like that. And obviously, the cultural context is different, and the points of reference people use are different. But there is, I think, some big similarities. And no, I think it was also great because obviously I'm not much older than, in fact, I think I had a couple of students who were older than me, but I could really relate to them on a personal level, and I had fantastic conversations in and outside of the classroom with them. In terms of whether my perceptions changed, I don't know. I mean, I found, I'd like to think I came in with something of an open mind, but definitely I think the level of sort of openness and academic enthusiasm I found from, obviously not all of the students, but from a large part of them, was pleasantly surprising to me. I don't know, I always found it very easy to relate to the students. And certainly, I mean, it definitely helped me rethink my own experience being an American, right? It helped me definitely rethink my perceptions of the region. I've been thinking a lot more in terms of how I think of Serbia and the former Yugoslav countries generally. I think it really the generational divides and these sort of things, and sort of how people's thoughts have changed within my grandparents' generation and my parents' generation and the generation that I am and that I worked with here. I really did notice that a little bit more this time. And yeah, I don't know, I think I left kind of rosy and optimistic about that. I was really, I think that the students, the people of my generation, at least in Niš, at least in our faculty, I don't know, I think they give me a lot of hope for Serbia and for the world. Yeah.
I've noticed that you said, my students, our faculty,
Yeah.
so obviously we can become part of your life.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you very much,
Yes,
and all
thank
the
you.
best in the future.
Thank you so much.
Today with us, we also have another young Fulbright scholar from the United States. It is Hannah Wilson. She was part of our department practically in 2018 and 2019. Exactly, 2019 and 2020, the awful COVID year. And it was a very dramatic period, right, at that time. And when none of us knew what to do, how to behave, how to prepare for the forthcoming period. And you were a foreigner in Serbia, so what were your thoughts at that time? And
well, first I was really sad because I only had 6 months here in Niš by the time the pandemic happened, and the thought of having to leave or everything changing was pretty sad for me because I loved it here. Mm-hmm. And I was so grateful to work with professors who were so flexible with allowing me to continue working with the students remotely, helping with video calls even after I left Serbia. But yeah, the decision of when to leave and whether I should leave, it was really challenging personally, and I was really grateful that the faculty was so flexible and supportive with my decisions because no one knew what was going to happen. So I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, and thank you for participating in these online classes with our students, helping them master vocabulary. Crime and punishment, I think, was
Yeah.
the topic, or something like that. So practically you volunteered for that work, and we are very grateful for that.
It was a pleasure.
Okay, can you tell us something about your background?
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in Montana in the United States in
And
a
you
pretty
like
small
to say
town.
you are...
Everyone likes to say my name is Hannah Montana. It usually kicks in after about 5 minutes, so yeah, we'll get it out of the way. I grew up there. I did all my schooling there, undergraduate and law school. So before I came to Serbia, I worked as a judicial law clerk in Helena, Montana, the capital. And I had no concept of the Balkan region. I didn't know anything about Serbia at that time. I went to college in Bozeman, and right down the road is a very small ranching community called Belgrade. Mm. So if you're talking about Belgrade in Montana, people think you're talking about that place. And if you talk about Serbia, it's often confused with countries like Syria or Siberia region. So this is a very foreign place for people from this area of the United States. So that was something that motivated me to apply to come here, because I wanted to be in this unique position where maybe I would be one of the only people from Montana that people in Serbia would meet, and I could be a link to Serbia for all these people who would maybe never come here from Montana. So that was a really special place that I found myself in here, and I decided to start using photography to help share what it's like here in Serbia with people back in Montana, and that became a really big part of my life, even while I was here. And after, when I left during the pandemic, I kept developing this, and yeah, I discovered how powerful that can be to help share culture and make the world feel a little bit smaller and kind of bridge the gap between these places that are so far away. And maybe now when people hear the word Belgrade, they don't automatically think of this small, tiny place next to Bozeman, but they think about it in a more global way. So that's something that really I learned a lot doing and really enjoyed doing when I was here.
Thank you for doing that.
Of course.
Okay, when you look back at those 6 months that you spent here teaching and with our students, what comes to your mind?
Before I came to Serbia, when I was in law school, I worked as a debate coach at one high school in Montana, and I had the great pleasure of working with professors here to have a debate class, and I loved this. This was so much fun because, like Abijah said, it's you could see a lot of similarities when you have the same class side by side, a Montana version of debate and a Serbian version of debate. You see that the fundamentals are very similar, and I really loved this class because it made the students become very open. They were very willing to share their opinions and back up those opinions with reasoning, and that showed me a lot how Serbian students think about the world, and it gave me great insights to what it's like to live here and grow up here.
When you compare the views, what conclusions have you made? What's your impression?
I like to think that after working with students on debate, we could all agree that most topics aren't black or white. This is true, this is not true, this is yes, this is no. There are a lot of things, especially controversial topics, that are very complex, and to be able to understand both sides of an issue and communicate about them helps everyone become more educated about it and have more nuanced understanding of what it means in different cultural contexts. That was really powerful and something that was different than working with students in Montana because we both come from the same place. Yeah. But now in Serbia, when I was coming from a different perspective, we had a new conversation, and that was really cool.
I'd like to mention that you worked with Professor Dusan Stamenkovic in this debate course, right?
That's true.
Okay. Hi, Dusan. You're over there in Sweden somewhere. And another thing was that you were involved in an English course, English for Judges. The point of the course was to introduce legal English to the judges that work in different courts here in Niš. How do you find that experience?
That was incredible because you see justice and your judicial legal system in a very straightforward way when you're educated in, like in Montana, you learn Montana law. You learn how to practice law in this jurisdiction. And even going to another state, you have to learn different local types of law. But in the US, the system is relatively similar across the states, but then you come to another country like Serbia with a completely different legal system, and you start to realize that there are a lot of different ways that justice is being administered throughout the world. And being able to talk to the law students here at the English for Judges program was very eye-opening. And I was also so appreciative of how open they were about sharing how their judicial system works and talking about the pros and cons of having different jury systems and how sentences are decided. And yeah, that was really, really fascinating for me.
Thank you, Hannah, for everything you have done for this department, this faculty, this city, this country, and we hope to see each other at least once a year in the future.
Yeah, my favorite thing about coming to Niš is that even after several years, I can still see people that I know walking down the street like I did with you the other day. Yeah. It feels so familiar here, and it's a really special place.
Thank you, and all the best.
Thank you.
This year, the English department at the Faculty of Philosophy in Niš has the honor to have another young Fulbright scholar, and it is Abigail Melbourne. Hello and welcome.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
You have just arrived to Niš. Okay, so your first impressions. Luckily, you have your more experienced peers to help you find your ways around.
Yes, it's been a great few days in Niš so far. I'm not new to Serbia since I lived in Jagodina last year, but it's great to be in a new city, see a little bit of a different region, and I'm really excited for the year ahead.
Okay, so something about your background, you come from a different part of the States, right?
Yes, I grew up in Iowa, which is the Midwest, very close by Chicago, and then I went to university in New York City, where I studied political science, and after I graduated, I moved to Serbia.
And you spent a year in Jagodina?
Yes.
What did you do there? What kind of duties, teaching duties you had there?
Yeah, so I was a Fulbright English teaching assistant there. I was working at the Faculty of Education, so all my students are going to be preschool and primary school teachers in the future. So I helped with their teaching English to young learners methodology courses, and then I also taught a master's course in academic writing and research.
Great.
Yeah.
During your life here, what were you struck by as the most pleasant or most unpleasant? I hope there weren't many.
No, none at all.
Okay, so some events or some characteristics or something that you have noticed?
I think, especially in Jagodina, the people I worked with were so incredibly warm and welcoming, and they treated me like family. And that's something I've noticed across Serbia, is that people are just incredibly welcoming, especially to foreigners and foreign visitors. And I think just the incredible kindness they showed me will always be something that means so much to me throughout my life. So
I hope you will find a bit here that we are also warm and kind, and that you'll be enjoying your stay and your teaching here.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to working with you.
Me as well. I've heard so many wonderful things about the faculty here and everyone who works here, so I'm thrilled to be here this year.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to further adventures.
Thank you.